Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the In Deep on the Delta weekly fishing report for the week of May 9th. Believe me, it looks beautiful out here, and right where I am right now, it is beautiful. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. But if we were to go on the other side of this little protected area, the wind is blowing about 15 miles an hour. It's gonna howl today, I'm pretty sure. It's been blowing all week. I was out at about 5:30 this morning. It was 50 degrees. Water temperature was 62 degrees, down 10 degrees from last week when it was closer to 72. We'll get into more of that, the details of what's going on out here on the river in just a minute. But don't let the beautiful weather fool you. We've had a tough week here on the Delta as far as weather is concerned. The fish are biting, but it's been pretty tough. So what we're gonna do is we'll get into a little bit of river business, and then we'll get right into talking about largemouth bass. We'll give stripers a little bit of a push here, but we're all thinking about largemouth bass right now. So first of all, I want to talk about the TNT Kids Fishing Derby, Lake Berryessa coming up. I think the TNT is the youth division or a branch of the BBT. You guys know Randy Pringle with the BBT, the Best Bass Fishing Tournaments. Randy has Heather working with him and really organizing some kids fishing derbies. She can answer all the questions. She's at 209-612-0663. You can get information from Heather, or you can just go to fishtnt.com, and that has a lot of the information for the young anglers. So that is the TNT division of BBT. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is we have a couple of kids, Braden and Colin, who are the state champs, the high school state champs from Vista del Lago. I believe at this point they're still looking for a boater to go back with them to Lake Hartwell, and I believe that's in North or South Carolina. They're going to go back. They want to fish the national championship back there, and they're looking for a boater. And I know this is a big ask, but if you know anyone that may be willing to do that, or you're willing to do that, make sure you get a hold of me. I will put my information up right now so that you can give me a call, and I'll get you in contact with Braden or Colin, and I believe that is in June. So let's talk about river conditions. It has been cold and windy out here, and it's dropped the water temperatures from last week about 72 to, like I said, this morning I was out, it was 62 degree water temps. That's a 10 degree water temperature drop in a week, which is, you know, it's just not great for this time of year when the fish are in you know, the spawning phase, with the water temperatures moving up and down and the barometer moving around like it's been. We've also had a ton of wind, up to 20-25 miles an hour. We've had a lot of rain. Where I'm sitting right here in Disappointment Slough, I've got 6 feet of visibility. I've been out in the Central Delta where this last week where I've had maybe 2 feet of visibility. I've got some reports from down south where there's a foot of visibility. Same up north. It was clearing up. I haven't got a lot of reports from up north because you guys know when it's blowing down here in the central, the north is really blowing. So I don't know that they've got a lot of guys out fishing up there this week. But water clarity is kind of all over the board depending on where you're at, and the fishing has been up and down just like the weather. So that's the weather situation and the water situation here. Everything, I mean, the water's it's in really good shape. We've got a lot of good clean vegetation out here, so the river's looking good and everything is ripe to break loose. It hasn't broken loose yet. We've got some glimpses of what we're going to be seeing here hopefully in the next week or two. We're supposed to get some 90-degree weather. That may kick something into play. Central Delta, the stripers are here. There's a lot of small ones. I talked to Rob from the Bass Hole. He says a lot of his people coming into the shop are talking about fishing for bass and catching a lot of stripers. The stripers I have been getting mostly on jerk baits are small, I'll say 10 to 14 inches. Out of every 6 or 8 fish, I'll get an occasional keeper, and every now and then I'll get a big fish blow up on a walking bait or a topwater that I haven't been able to catch. But they're out there. I know the trollers that are working the area are still catching fish, and the guys that are throwing big weight baits are catching fish. So they're here, and it's a great time of year to go out and go for a multi-species trip, catching both stripers and largemouth bass. So I need to talk about a friend of mine and a subscriber, Corey. Let's get into that. Let's talk about Corey first. Corey got his personal best, 10.8 pound fish this last week. Didn't catch it on the Delta, but I want to make sure I give Corey a big congratulations, because in his report he specifically talked about how he handled that fish and got it back in the water quickly and let it swim off to spawn and do its thing. And that was really important to me, Corey, and I want to take your advice and just pass it on to everyone out here on the Delta or fishing any of the mother lode lakes or anywhere for that matter. The fish are spawning, they're fragile. If you get a big fish, make sure you handle it carefully, get a quick picture of it and drop it back in. Now the other thing that Corey did that I thought was really cool, 10.8 pounds, got it on a 7-foot medium light rod, 8-pound test, and he caught it on a 2.7 TRD worm, little bitty worm, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 8 ounces. Don't want to short you there, Corey. So great job, Corey, and I just want to commend you for really talking about how you released that fish and took care of it. So that's number one. Number two, we'll get into the Bass Hole Delta Team Tournament that was held last Saturday, the 4th. And if you want to see a recap, I've got a recap up on my website, In Deep on the Delta. Don't forget to be watching that. And that gives you all the information. I got some interviews from different people out there. And if you take a look at that recap, as I got out there at 3 o'clock, the storm had passed through, but these guys fished in some brutal conditions. It must have dumped an inch of rain. It was blowing 20 to 25 miles an hour. You know, rain, cold, and when these guys got in, a lot of them looked like a bunch of drowned rats. I know Rob commented that there were several people that just came in and said they couldn't handle it, and I don't blame you guys at all. It was nasty conditions. But there's a silver lining in this, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. First, a big congratulations to Larry and Nick Frazier. They won the high roller division with 21.48 pounds. Great job. First place in the low roller was Tyler Bussart and Aaron Sapp. They had 19.17 pounds. I want to congratulate you guys for winning that brutal, well, it wasn't a brutal tournament. It was a great tournament, but you guys fished under brutal conditions. My pick for the anglers of the week, maybe anglers of the month so far, are the team that came in second. Nate Curtis and Mike Cordero came in second with 20.2 pounds. You might say, Steve, why are they the anglers of the week? Why are not Larry and Nick Frazier the anglers of the week? Well, Nate and Mark, they fished out of a 16-foot tracker bass boat. And I'm telling you guys, 20-mile-an-hour winds, maybe 25, rain, wind, cold. And this wasn't a brand new 19.5-foot tracker with a 150 horsepower motor. I imagine, you know, this was probably a boat that was 15 years old. Sorry guys, I'm not down in your boat. I'm giving you kudos here. Had to be about this wide. I don't think it was safe for those guys out there, but they went out and they did their thing, and they got 20 pounds, second place. Great job, guys. And this is what Delta anglers, true Delta rats, are about. They don't care about the weather. They're going out and they're going to fish. Congratulations, guys. You're my kind of guys. Don't take that the wrong way. I mean, I'm behind you. I dig what you're doing out there. Sorry about that. Anyhow, so what's going on out here? We've got a lot of wind, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And my report this week is going to focus on the reports that I've been getting through most of the anglers, because you guys don't care what I do. I'm out here all the time. Sometimes I catch fish, sometimes I don't. I've been catching a few. I'll go over that, you know, before we get out of here. But what the story has been, and this is a big pattern, everybody's saying they're getting a lot of bites, but they're not catching fish. Some of the bites are just ticking, and they're just not catching them. Other bites, a lot of folks are saying, well, they're just picking it up and they're not eating it. Well, here's the reason for that. Number one, this is the reason. There's fish out here right now that are in all forms of spawning. We have post-spawn fish, fish that have already spawned. We have fish that are actively on beds, and we have pre-spawn fish. Now, for you guys that are getting a lot of these tick, tick, tick bites, I think they are the males that are aggressive, and the males stay pretty aggressive throughout all these, you know, stages of spawn. They're just coming up and slapping at baits, and a lot of times you miss them. I think that's what a lot of you guys are experiencing. The ones that are picking up baits and dropping them, those are probably actively spawning fish, and whether you know it or not, you're throwing a worm or whatever you're throwing across or in the vicinity of a bed. The fish pick it up and they try to pull it off the bed and they drop it. You set the hook on them and maybe you lose a worm or something like that. A lot of folks are saying, man, I go back to that same spot, I get 2 or 3 bites right in the same spot and they just don't eat it. That's probably the spawning fish. All I could do is tell you that keep doing what you're doing. You're fishing in the right spot. You're going to start catching more and more of these bites and you're going to get bigger fish. And that's the other thing. Everybody's saying, well, I'm getting a lot of fish, I'm not getting bigger fish. You hear me talk about guys catching 20 and 25 pound limits in these tournaments. Number one, upper division tournament anglers don't fish like weekend anglers. That's number one. Number two, all upper division tournament anglers aren't getting 20-pound bags. You hear about the 1 or 2 20-pound bags out of 50 or 60 teams or contestants. The rest of them are probably doing very similar to what we're doing out here. They're working their patterns, but they're, you know, no matter how great of a fisherman you are out here, your patterns don't work all the time. Here's the difference between the upper division tournament anglers and the weekend anglers. The upper division tournament anglers are hunting for areas, they're not hunting for individual fish. They look for these spots, and even if they don't see fish, they know the fish are there. And they may not have 2, 3, or 4 of these spots. They hunt spots all day long in pre-fish, and they may have 20 of these spots. And maybe if they have 20 spots, they break them down into 10 spots that they're going to go to. They rotate through those spots, and the guys that are successful hit 1 or 2 of those spots that produce 1 or 2 fish, and they get their 3, 4 nice big 5, 6, 7, 8 pound fish. They pick up a fish on the way to fill out their limit, and those are the guys that are catching the fish. So they're really hunting for spots, and they know the spots that they need to fish to catch those bigger fish. Hopefully I didn't get too crazy with that. I'm going to have Ryan Hall on hopefully in the next week or so. He is a upper division tournament angler for the in the BAM circuit right now, and Ryan fishes a lot like I talk about fishing. He doesn't necessarily fish the tides, he fishes the spots, and I'm going to get Ryan to hopefully talk about what he looks for and how he finds his fish. Ryan got 3rd place in the last in the last BAM tournament here a week or so ago, and I think he had the largest bag of the tournament. So 3-day tournament, I think he had a 1-day bag of 27 pounds, and he wound up in 3rd place after the 3 days. But hopefully I'm going to get Ryan on here and he can give you guys some suggestions on how to find these honey holes. With that, what have I been doing? Topwater bite in the morning and the evening just hasn't been that good. I'm covering a lot of ground. I'm getting what I call courtesy fish just by putting whatever bait I'm throwing, topwater bait in the morning or the evening, gets in their vicinity, they're going to hit it. Not worth coming out here. Remember, I'm retired. I can go anytime I want. I'm 15 minutes from the launch ramp. That's why I'm out here in the morning and the evening. If I had to come more than a half an hour away from the Delta, I wouldn't be coming out here super early. My number one bait for the week, this week, has been a jerk bait. I've been getting a lot of fish on that, a lot of small fish. I've got fish up to about 4 pounds on it. That's 1 out of probably about 50. You're going to wade through a lot of small fish, but that jerk bait has been doing a good job for me. I've also caught 7 or 8 stripers this week. Most of them are about 12, 14 inches. I got one this morning that I think was a keeper, so nothing spectacular, but that jerk bait has been doing it for me. After that, it's the spot that you're fishing and then just junk fish. Worms are doing really well. A few frogfish, jerk baits, Chatterbaits have been doing well, but just fish what you have confidence in, and fish the area and move around a lot. The fishing is going to get more and more consistent here in the next couple weeks, especially if we get this 90-degree temperature in. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching all year. It's been a tough year. It's been up and down. I know myself and a lot of the guys that are doing other reports out here have been all saying the same thing. Man, next week's going to be great. Next week's going to be great. Sooner or later, as this weather stabilizes, the fishing is going to get better. That's all I can say. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys on the water. Until next week, good luck.